See a movie, get some cards. Sounds like a great deal, right? We'll find out today. Hey everyone, this is Jesse from the Janjo Zone. If you're not subbed yet and love retro and historical looks at Yu-Gi-Oh!, then consider subscribing and liking this video so I know you enjoy this type of content. Also consider checking out my Patreon and my merch for further support. As I've talked about before, the entire year of 2004 Yu-Gi-Oh! Was a wild, game-changing time. From the start with Invasion of Chaos, some of the most notorious monsters in the game's history were introduced, like Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, and Chaos Emperor Dragon. While the end of that year wasn't quite as powerful, the sheer amount of strong cards by the end could not be ignored by the ban list and the following year's meta. But this is not to say that there wasn't some fun non-meta releases that year. A lot of us who were die-hard Yu-Gi-Oh! Fans by that time surely remember that this was also the year the Yu-Gi-Oh! Movie came out in the United States, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Pyramid of Light. The movie follows the Battle City arc of the main series and tells the story of an ancient villain who was defeated by the Egyptian pharaoh many centuries ago. Well, this guy was Anubis, the Egyptian lord of the dead, and now he's back with the powerful artifact, the Pyramid of Light, to claim his revenge. It's a rather silly movie, but still has plenty of charm if not just for nostalgia factor. What was also released at that time of the movie's theatrical run was a movie pack for those who went to see the film. This set featured 4 cards, 1 super rare and 3 commons. Each pack came with 1 card and an ad for Shonen Jump, which I was already subbed to. Just to go off track for a second, my first ever Jump magazine I had was issue 16 from April 2004. Super Vegeta fought Cell, Zoro struggled against 2 cat pirates, and Yugi was in the finale against his rematch with Kaiba at Death T. Anyways, let's take a look at these cards. First off, we have Wadapon, kinda like the vanilla flavored Karibo in terms of looks. This weak fairy had the neat effect of being able to be special summoned if it was added from the deck to the hand by a card effect, such as Hot Greed. The next card is Sorcerer of Dark Magic, which sadly is only common in this set. I mean, a black dark magician looking monster, that's awesome! He can only be special summoned by tributing 2 level 6 or higher spellcaster monsters. And during either player's turn, when a trap card is activated, you can negate it and destroy it. So he's similar to Dark Paladin in a sense. With 3200 attack and 2800 defense, his stats aren't too bad if you can get him out. Then we have the Pyramid of Light. Yeah, this card is surprisingly not the super rare despite it being the name of the movie. This continuous trap works when it's removed from your side of the field. Destroys and removes from play Andro Sphinx and Sphinx Telea. It really doesn't do what it does in the movie, which was stop the god cards. I assume since the playable version of these god cards weren't introduced in the OCG until 2011, Konami had to figure out some other effect, but come on, this should be broken. It needs a modern retrain like Pyramid of Ancient Light that banishes all divine beast monsters on the field when activated, and they cannot be summoned as long as this card remains face up on the field, something like that. The final card of the set is the super rare Blue Eyes Shining Dragon. This card looks real cool, like a robotic Blue Eyes. Similar to the aforementioned Sorcerer, this dragon needs to be special summoned by tributing a Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Problem was that Ultimate was not released by this point, making Shining impossible to summon upon release. Although, let's say you did. Shining gains 300 attack for each dragon in your graveyard. When a card or effect is activated that targets him, you can negate the effect. It's not a great card, especially considering it's a downgrade when compared to the 4500 attack of Ultimate, but the hype is real. None of these cards were particularly good, and yet that's not to say that there aren't any good cards that came from the movie promos. See, there actually was another pack released that contained 8 cards, the same 8 cards, and featured more cards from the film. This was the exclusive pack. So, like the movie pack, let's list off the cards. Familiar Knight is the most familiar card to most. He's a warrior that, when destroyed, both players can special summon a level 4 monster from their hand. Meh. Rare Metal Dragon. A dragon with 4 stars and 2400 attack. That's good. Unfortunately, he cannot be normal summoned or set. That's bad. Petin the Dark Clown. When this joker is destroyed, you can banish him and special summon another Petin from your hand or deck. Alright, that's not too shabby. Inferno Tempest. A quick play spell that activates when you take 3000 or more damage from an attack. When that condition is met, remove all monsters from both players' deck and graveyard from play. The cheeky card of the set. Then we got Return from the Different Dimension, which is definitely the best card of the set. Par none. See, you pay half your life points, I know, but keep listening. Special summon as many of your banished monsters as possible until the end phase, in which they're sent back to the banished zone. This card would see play in many banish-heavy decks and would see itself on the ban list eventually, one that's still on there to this day. Because to summon potentially a bunch of powerful monsters just by simply paying a resource is incredible. Consider this the offensive version of Solemn Judgment. Then the final 3 cards of the exclusive pack are Anubis' 3 notorious Sphinx cards. So, Sphinx Talea. She's a man-eater, but not of the treasure chest variety. First, you need Pyramid of Light on the field and pay 500 life points to summon her. Cannot attack the turn it's summoned. Cannot be special summoned from the graveyard. But, if it destroys a defense position monster, it inflicts half of that monster's defense to your opponent. Cool. Janjo Sphinx is the beefier of these two, and he has the same awful drawbacks as his female counterpart. The difference is that this guy inflicts half of the destroyed monster's attack instead of defense. Cool. However, if you can manage to get these two on the field and also destroyed at the same time, you can special summon Anubis' boss monster, Thanon, the Great Sphinx. Alias, this guy has 3500 attack and can be summoned from the deck. When Thanon is special summoned, you can pay 500 life points to increase his attack by 3000 until the end phase. Man, this would have been way better if his last effect worked every turn, not just on summon. Otherwise, this guy wouldn't be half bad if you don't consider you need to pay 1000 life points to summon both Talea and Janjo, another 500 for Thanon, and then another 500 for his effect, making you pay 2000 life points in total. What a scam! These Sphinx cards are nowhere near as broken as Guardian Sphinx, and clearly had the design philosophy of Toons in which they are heavily nerfed in fear of their own potential. Due to nostalgia, a lot of these cards are memorable because it certainly wasn't for their meta viability, with the rare exception of Return from the Different Dimension. Pen would find its way in a deck or two, and Tempest would work itself in a gimmick deck. That was about it. Sorcerer of Dark Magic and Blue Eye Shining were really cool, but not worth the effort to summon them. And you can tell those Sphinx cards are bad with Thanon being barely passable. I do hope Konami releases a set one of these days that pays tribute to these special monsters and retrains them, whether it's Dark Magician of Dark Magic, Blue Eye's alternative Shining Dragon, or even Thanon the Great Sphinx of Ancient Light. I'm just bawling ideas here. I recall having just about the entire set back in the day, and it certainly is a special moment at the height of old school Yu-Gi-Oh! In terms of the general fandom. See a kids movie, grab some cards, grab some McDonald's afterwards. Yeah, those were the days. Like, this is up there with the McDonald's promos in terms of nostalgia, and the biggest downside is just how crappy most of these cards were. This should have been the set to give us the God cards, even if it were the unplayable versions. Alas, here we are, talking about the Pyramid of Light movie packs many years later, and perhaps why nostalgia pushes us to do is the greatest Sphinx's riddle of them all.